Today I'd like to show you how to create an application using the Layer 7 API portal. So for purposes of this demo, I'm going to pretend that I am John Gunn, a developer with Under the Gun Consulting, and I've come into the Goods Warehouse Developer Network, which is built on top of the Layer 7 API portal. They've recently introduced a new API, their Acme Warehouse API, which allows me to build out an app and then distribute that to my customer base. If any of my customers buy one of their products, I'll get a kickback from Goods Warehouse based on the goods they purchased. So the first thing to have a look at here is the documentation. I've got the Warehouse API here, and I've got some information on how to use it. One of the things I notice is that they're requiring OAuth. So there's a number of request and authorization URLs I'm going to have to include in my application when I call that back end. Let's go ahead and log in right now. I come to my dashboard. There's a number of messages here available for me, but right now I'm just interested in my applications. I've got a couple already, but let's go ahead and build a new application for the Acme Warehouse API. We'll call it Warehouse Tracker, and that'll allow me to track the goods that are purchased by my customer base. I'm going to add some APIs to this. I'll need an Authentication API. There's a EULA associated with that I have to click through. I'll need an Authorization API as well. I'll accept the conditions for that. And then finally, there's my Acme Warehouse API. I've now got Authentication and Authorization, Acme Warehouse APIs all ready to be added to my application. Once I save this, I can see I've got the Warehouse Tracker built here, the APIs that it's working against, and because we're going to be needing OAuth, I'll need my key. I'll just copy this over to here. And I'll need a secret as well. I'll copy that. And we'll replace the one that I have here. Now I'll go ahead, cancel out of that, and we'll test that back-end resource. Make sure it's available for when we start actually building out our warehouse tracker and that everything is working fine with the OAuth. So I'll click on Resources, API Explorer, and I'll select that Acme Warehouse API. Just make a call against list products here. I'm going to have to provide my authentication. I'll choose OAuth 1.0 from the list. I'm going to need my client key. So I'll go back to my notepad where I had that, copy that into here, and I'll need my client secret as well. I'll also need a request URL. In the documentation, I'll just copy that over. I know the authorization and access URL are very similar, so I'm just going to go ahead and type those in. And when I click OK, I get redirected to the authorization server that prompts me to log in. I've already provided my credentials because I have credentials on the resource server. Now I can go ahead and grant the warehouse tracker access to the back end. Once I've done that, I can execute the response or execute the request, and I see the response comes back and it tells me what's available on the back end. So now I'm ready to go ahead and start building my application, confident that it'll work.